Hello, Mother Willow here. You know, a friend of mine, we were talking about this. Perception is everything. Change your perception and you change everything. Well, there's a story that goes along with that that I decided I wanted to share. Long time ago, and I'm talking, we're going back 40 years, I had a mentor. And my mentor was, she was mentoring me. She was everything that um, you know, I idolized her. She was everything. Anyway, I thought she was grooming me to step up into a certain position. And the time came 15 years later. I mean, we're talking, was a long deal. And 15 years later, the time came, she decided she wanted to retire. And she had a center that was helping women who need help. And I was volunteering in the center. And when she retired, she said that if she couldn't find a replacement for her, then they would have to close the center down. And the other workers approached me and said, "Why don't you apply for the job?" And it was like, I couldn't apply for the job. There's so much I don't know yet. And they said, with our help, you know, together we could keep the center open and we could keep it going. I was like, okay, sure, I'll give it a shot. And so I applied for the job. And then when I got, we got together and we were talking, she looked at me and she laughed. She scoffed and she laughed and she says, "There's no way you could fill my shoes. There's no way. No." And she did it in such a way that it crushed me. It just absolutely crushed me. And I was crushed for years, many, many years after that. I felt inadequate. I felt all kinds of things. Oh, Lord. And then one day, I was watching a politician, a lady politician, giving her speech. And all of a sudden, it was like, oh my God, I get it. My perception within that moment changed. When I saw her, she acted just exactly like my mentor. And it dawned on me, in order to do the job that, excuse me, in order to do the job that needed to be done, I had to be a politician because in order to raise the amount of money to keep that center going, you had to play politics with people. And I'm not good with that. I don't play politics. And I didn't understand until later in my years because my husband was in the military and he said, "I don't play politics." And it was like, what do you mean you don't play politics? You have to wheel and deal. You have to make deals. You have to make promises. You have to grease each other's, the deal with, the drill with the politicians. And she was right. She was absolutely right. There was no way in that I could possibly fill those shoes. And in that moment, when I realized what she was actually saying, because she didn't take the time to explain it to me, I guess I was too young to understand, I don't know. But I understood in that moment. And because my perception of the whole thing changed, in that moment when I realized that's not me. That's not who I am. And my perception completely changed about the situation. My perception changed about myself. Everything changed. So when I say perception is everything, I mean it. It's everything. And then when you change your perception, everything changes. Everything about me changed when I realized what was actually really going on. I just, it was just amazing. So I hope that this little, well, I got time for one more little story. And it's a cute one. And it goes back 47 years. Right after my husband and I were married. He had just come back from the ship and we were going out on the town. And now, this was back in the 70s, and this was the day of the Farrah Fawcett look and this sort of stuff. And I was young and thin and everything, and I dressed up to go out on the town. And you know how you go out into the living room and you, ta-da, here I am. And he looked at me and he went, oh my God, you look like a hooker. And I'm like, what? I look like a hooker? Oh my God, I was crushed. I was like devastated because I was raised as a good girl. I was no hooker and stuff. And I looked at him and I just fell apart. And he was like, well, what's the matter? What's the matter? You know, this kind of thing. And I was like, oh, you look like a hooker, you know, I'm a tramp, you know, kind of thing. And he was just like, you know, he was a young sailor. Of course, young sailors, you know. And he looked at me and he says, no, baby, no. He says, not that kind of hooker. He says, you look like one of those ladies that we'd have to pay $500 just for one night. That was his way of saying something different. His perception is one way, and my perception was another. And in that moment, I was crushed. But then when he, you know, he put it out there and told me what he really meant, but he didn't have the words to say it. So when somebody tells you look like a hooker, ask them what price. I hope this changes your perception, and I hope maybe this helps you understand a little more of that when I say perception is everything. Change your perception, and you change everything. God love you. I love you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.